Hi, this is Nerdy Exotical. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to discuss a certain mindset blocker, and that's letting your racial background become your entire identity. I don't see this as much with exoticals. This is something that I do see a lot in monoracial. And that's this idea that this kind of over consuming consumption of self by their solely by their racial identity. And it seems to kind of play as a shorthand for developing a personality. Developing a personality, tastes, and preferences takes a lot of time and effort. And it's really important that you invest in doing this because this is going to give you a way better quality of life when you've tried different things. You've been different places and you have a sense of self that is your sense of self. I'm not saying where you come from isn't important. Obviously it is. That's your point of origin, but it doesn't have to be your destiny and your end destination. There's plenty of people of all races that have completely changed their directory the trajectory of their lives through their own efforts. We could go on and on about that. Serena Williams comes to mind as an example. And I'm sure we're all familiar with Serena Williams. Her family's from um, Compton, which is part of LA County, and her father took her and her sister and made sure that they had an opportunity to become pro tennis athletes. And look at where she is now. And that's called taking control and not letting your identity be your your sole means of defining yourself. Uh, while a lot of people Serena Williams might not be the most radical example, just because I think a lot of people look at black athletes and black entertainers kind of as the default path out of economic hardship. There's definitely many other opportunities besides that. But I did want to point her out just as an example that um, while there is this kind of current that you're born into, you can make the choice to swim in a different direction or to completely change streams altogether. On the other side of that, being born into a certain identity, while it might grant you certain privileges, I would be wary of wearing it with a sense of entitlement because it does come across as rather, let's let's say, tone deaf. Um, I don't want to say this in a way that's offensive, but nobody's buying a memoir on how I was born to be a white chick or how I managed to be born as an Asian chick. There's no award-winning memoir on how somebody managed to be born with a certain racial identity. There's no how-to books. There's no uh, rousing speeches on how hard it must have been to be born into a specific race. So acting like your racial identity comes with built-in entitlement is quite a bit tone deaf, especially since every group in the U.S., which everybody likes to point to how racist the U.S. is. Even with how racist the U.S. is, there's a lot of opportunities, and there always has been, for changing your trajectory. Even during segregation and before it, there were different classes of African Americans. It wasn't like they were all in the same, experiencing the same life experiences. There was a variety of experiences, even in communities that were pushed out or in some way marginalized. And there was opportunities for them to better themselves and to maintain a standard of living for themselves. Just like in the white community, being white didn't guarantee that you were rich or that you were going to own slaves or anything like that. There was plenty of poor whites, particularly indentured whites. So acting like your racial identity is the cornerstone of your identity and the defining marker of your life trajectory is self-defeating. I would really caution against it, particularly if there's different. You're still in kind of an exploratory phase, trying to figure out what you enjoy. Be open to new experiences. Be open to other cultures. Be willing to learn and try new things so that you can continue to grow and try to find a place that meets you, where you can meet your needs while also giving back in a way that feels authentic to you and not forced. Well, that's all I wanted to talk about. Until next time, I hope you move towards the life that you want with intention. Take care.